It's time for your sports fix.
Strap yourselves in, folks.
From two guys who have covered the teams you're passionate about for years.
We are professionals.
This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone, 10:05. He was not expecting this to be a solo show today, but I guess Jake is not coming in. So, oh, there he is. Hey, buddy. You gonna set your computer up?
No.
Show started about a minute ago.
David James
left his bottle here, so it's just a mess of a Monday.
Hey, I was talking to Salazar. I'm sorry. What do you want me to do? I can't hear Lloyd because I don't have my headset.
Producer did come and get him.
I had one thing I had to talk to him about. Actually, multiple things I had to talk to him about. But one last thing I had to talk to him about. So, anywho, apologies.
Hey,
Ben, not a great way to start the week, apparently.
You're
I
fine.
irritated you, for sure. You all right?
Great.
Did you have a good weekend?
My weekend was solid. How was yours?
My weekend was fine. My wife left town yesterday morning, so I had a whole day with my girls, which was pretty cool. Yeah. You know what I did? I took them to the Belgian Waffle House.
Oh, okay.
Have you ever been to the Belgian Waffle House?
Is that the one over by Hillcrest High School?
Yeah, like right across the street. So my daughter has swim lessons at one of the swim schools there in Fort Union, and my wife does not like places like the Belgian Waffle House because it doesn't fit what she likes to eat. So
Okay.
we don't usually go to like a greasy, spoony breakfast place.
Yeah, a real diner.
A real, like diner. And
Yeah.
I was like, get ready, kids.
Going.
You're going to eat some waffles, and you're
Yeah.
going to love it. And then, we went to the park, did all sorts of stuff. Weather was pretty good yesterday.
Weather was great.
Yeah. It turned out, I told them I wanted to watch Mary Poppins, and they would not let me.
No. Your kids wouldn't let you watch Mary Poppins.
They haven't, my 4-year-old's never seen it, and my 8-year-old hadn't seen it since she was 3.
Uh-huh.
But somehow it left the impression that she doesn't like it, even though I asked her basic plot questions, and she had no clue.
Of course. I don't know if I could tell you the plot, other than the family needs a nanny. End of story?
Well, and the nanny saves everybody.
From what?
She flies around with an umbrella.
Yeah, I get that she's magic, but why did they need a magic nanny?
Because the family was in turmoil.
Dire straits?
Yeah.
Illness?
Well,
Financial ruin?
Just not the old man didn't have his head on straight.
Not
wasn't,
cohesive.
Yeah.
Okay.
The kids, at a very impressionable age, they needed something
A
special.
little magic.
She came in and gave that
Yeah.
to the whole family.
Okay.
Guy quit his job at the end.
He did.
Yeah.
Wow. Sounds like she did a terrible job.
You don't remember the
I
plot?
really don't
the plot
remember
of,
the plot all that well.
of Mary Poppins?
Yeah.
And there's Bert in there.
I remember that.
Remember Bert?
So when you say Bert, do you mean Bert or Brett?
No, his
Yeah,
name
which one are we?
it was actually Bert.
Oh, okay.
It was not Brett.
Mm-hmm.
It was actually Bert. Dick Van Dyke, still with us, right? 100 years old?
Absolutely. Yeah. Still kicking.
How about that? Have we ever done Dick Van Dyke movies?
There's 2.
Or anything the man ever did?
Yeah. If we want to do anything, maybe we could get to 4 or 5.
Wasn't he on a cop drama in the aughts?
Oh, was he?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Feels like something Dick Van Dyke would have done.
Sure. He's pretty funny in Night at the Museum. It's his best old guy movie.
There's a movie my kids have never seen. I should go.
Oh, that's a good
yeah,
one. We watched it the other day with my kids. They were totally in on it.
That's a great movie.
Yeah, throw it in.
All right. Robin,
Also about a family that's collapsing.
yeah, see?
Yeah.
And Teddy Roosevelt saves them all.
And has magic.
Yeah. Robin Williams, brilliant.
Robin Williams plays the Mary Poppins role.
As
Kind of.
Teddy Roosevelt.
Yeah.
Yeah, except for he's in the movie for 10 minutes.
He's not in very long.
No.
Yeah. It's good, though. It's enjoyable.
Owen Wilson's a little cowboy.
It's funny.
Isn't that right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, Ben. Good times. Certainly over the weekend enjoyed back-to-back home games against the Pelicans. Yes, please.
More of those.
Serve that up. Let's talk about the Pelicans and how that's going over there. Sadiq B.
Yeah.
Just dominates.
Going off again.
Dominates. Oh, what do you mean going off? He had 24 points. He went off in that first half, and then he was like, oh, I don't need to play anymore.
Don't need to play that hard.
Had 18 points in the first half, and I was like, all right.
Well, this is what the season's going to look like for the Jazz. And, we had kind of tried to prepare people for this, or I had tried to, just by saying I thought this was going to be the worst maybe 30-game stretch you've experienced since the rebuild began. And that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be the fewest wins over a 30-game stretch, but the most intentional losses like they had against the Pelicans, playing next to nobody on the roster because holding on to this draft pick is critical and truly is their chance. I'm not even knocking the Jazz for what they're doing. I think you get Jaren Jackson Jr. to come back, you get Lowry back, you get Keontae George to continue his strength and his growth this year, and Walker comes back. If Ace grows, which he will grow, how high we don't know, and you get a good draft pick, you get a good player, then the window really does open up. It's absolutely worth it what the Jazz are doing, but that doesn't mean it's going to be enjoyable for fans as they watch.
In the short term.
In the short term.
What's the stupid Batman line? It's always darkest before the dawn or something?
Yeah, the night's always darkest.
It has that feeling to it. Yeah.
Yeah. Or a Mary Poppins combination here would be that this is the draft pick is your spoonful of sugar, and it's going to help the medicine go down.
Oh,
because
nice.
this is bad tasting medicine right now.
Your love is like bad medicine? Now we can go to Bon Jovi.
Happy birthday.
Is it
Bon
his
Jovi's
birthday? He's 102, I think.
Yeah. Dick Van Dyke were born the same year.
How's John Bon Jovi looking these days? He's
looking better than Dick Van Dyke.
Well, as you
Dick Van Dyke looks crazy.
Well, he's 100 years old.
Yeah.
Get off his back. No, I just mean like it's funny as these, I guess, quote unquote, or former heartthrobs or whatever people known for their looks have tried to keep up surgically, and it just doesn't work out at one point.
Yeah.
That's like the last time I saw Bon Jovi. I had that thought. Like,
He looks fine.
does he?
Yeah, he looks pretty good.
Okay, well, like bad medicine. Yeah, no offense to Blake Hinson, who's an interesting player, but moving him into the starting lineup, know. And I know that everybody fell in love with John Conchar for 10 minutes, but I don't know if he's really a guy.
I think they moved him out of the starting lineup for fear of him winning too many games. I'm not kidding. I think they were like, whoa, that's a winning role. That's not something we want to see very much of anymore. So he went back down to 15 minutes.
So, I don't know what you can take from any of this. Ace Bailey went back to not shooting well, but the dude is still rebounding.
Yeah, he started rebounding better.
Yeah, which I think is something he can make into a consistent thing, right?
Yeah, and I don't think we're going to see a lot of great games from Ace Bailey the rest of the way, and I mean that. I think A, there's probably a little bit of the rookie wall. B, I think he's a little overburdened for what his current skill set is. He's going to be best right now as an off-ball player. He's just not that good on the ball. He's not ready to shoot off the dribble very well. He's probably a little bit better doing it maybe than some rookies, but his three-point shooting's down to 33%. He's only at 44% from the floor because he's having 4 of 16 shooting nights. He's being asked to do a little bit too much, and he might be able to figure it out at some point, but I don't think you're going to see that in the next 20 games. And if that's what fans are, counting on for a successful close to the season, I don't think you're going to see that on the court.
I don't think it's realistic, certainly. Being at the top of the scouting report's pretty tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not that easy. When the other team, whether you're trying to win or not, the other team has a specific assistant coach who pays attention to, what's going on with the other team. Like if Radio Bozo, Ben, and Jake know that Ace is going to get 17 shots, if the sharp, extra smart people of the Snap Talk world know that Ace is going to get 18 shots,
right,
they're going to plan for it.
Correct.
And so it's a difficult thing. It was an adjustment for Lowry Markkanen being at the top of the scouting report. Remember that? That was a whole storyline for about 10 minutes. I mean, it's a thing. And rookies, I still don't understand how people can forget what rookies are like every offseason.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, we think that rookies are good. I remember talking to Gordon one time about is Grayson Allen going to be what puts the Jazz over the top? No.
Yeah, not year one.
Not in year one.
Yeah.
Like,
and not ever, but yeah, definitely not year one.
I think, we get blinded sometimes about rookie seasons, and we don't necessarily dive into why numbers are the way they are. We just have it tell us a story, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, well, every rookie should be this way somehow. And the truth is, it's just not that way. Cooper Flagg has made a pretty immediate impact.
He has.
He is the 1%. Every other rookie in the NBA takes a while to come along.
But I also ask you, how many games under 500 are the Dallas Mavericks
at
the moment?
There you go. Like, how
he's
good is their
and
team?
there are 18 games under 500. Colin Knippel's really good, and I think he's affecting winning. He's also probably the fourth best player on the team, third best player on the team. So he doesn't, to your point, where Ace Bailey is finding himself suddenly the top player on the scouting report. It's a guy who never has to dribble, speaking of Colin Knippel. And that's actually where Ace is best, too. Don't dribble. Just catch the ball and shoot it. We'll set you up. You just knock down a couple of shots when you can, and we'll build off of that. And now the Jazz are trying to accelerate that building block or that pace over the last 20 games of the season. And, we'll see if it helps. I don't know if it's
First-round picks are allowed to have a rookie season.
Yeah.
They are.
Yeah.
They're allowed to have a rookie season. Now, everybody should be allowed to have a rookie season, but if you're undrafted like Lou Dort or like Wesley Matthews, you better hit the ground going.
Blake Hinson.
But if you're a first-round pick, you get some time to develop. And if you're the number 5 pick, you get
a lot of time.
A lot of time to develop. But see Dante Exum.
Yep.
So let's give the guy at least a year to develop. I think that's more than fair. And then, and I'm not trying to go silver lining on you, but if you get the experience of banging your head up against the best defense on the planet and having failure, you hope you parlay that experience into success in the future.
Yeah.
I do not think it's guaranteed, and nor am I trying to make something out of nothing. But there is an experience of I've got to go play against the other team's best defensive player, and I got to figure out a way to make it happen, right?
It would be incredibly stupid to write anybody off right now. End of story.
So, I don't know. You think people will get grumpy with Ace Bailey? I feel like people have not turned like they don't like the guy, but I think the will he become a star has gone to, well, I don't know. It just seems like another guy.
Can he help us win? Which
I don't think is entirely fair.
Absolutely not. At all. He was always the rawest player in the top 5 that was being drafted. He was always going to take the most work, and you are seeing that. Now, again, the other things that should be overwhelming positives, not that this is necessarily an Ace Bailey segment, was that he has 3 blocks and he has a steal and a couple of assists and 8 rebounds in every game. Like, actually, you want him to become a player who helps you win beyond just a big scorer. Finding an ability to do all these other things, especially on the defensive end, are going to make him a much better player.
I honestly think some of his inefficiencies, and, far be it from me to be some sort of shot doctor, Ben, but the Jeff Malones of the world that don't shoot the ball on balance really aren't a thing. And he doesn't. Ace has this weird thing where he shoots leaning forward sometimes.
To chase his own rebound.
He shoots like he sometimes has the Jeff Malone thing going. That. If he just learns to shoot straight up and down.
Yeah, land where you jump. He's going to be a much better shooter.
And those are basic mechanics. And by the way, the failure of the AAU development world, which I still think is not properly equipping our basketball players with the skills that they need to succeed at the ultimate level, because Ace has been good at basketball for how long?
His whole life.
Probably hasn't had an AAU coach who's saying, hey, dude, shoot up straight up and down.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to coach the best player. You don't want to risk ticking him off and he's going to go play for Exum Elite or something like that. You got to coddle that guy. You're never going to coach that guy.
But you're in the phone booth, shooting the phone booth. You don't have room to jump around. You need to go straight up and straight down.
The leaning forward thing is weird. Do you think that's what it is? He's going to chase his rebound?
When he leans forward, that's definitely what he's doing. And it's like it works for him, but it inherently, I think, means he doesn't think the shot is going in. If you're shooting to chase your own rebound, as much as that's not really a bad habit by any means, I do think when you're releasing the ball, the expectation is it's not going in, and you would like him to have a little bit of confidence that every time he shoots it, it's going to find the bottom of the net.
I wonder. I just think it's bad habits. I mean, honestly, you don't have anybody who's teaching you good habits. You just have.
It's very possible.
Just have bad habits and leaning on shots. Do you ever have the friend that dominated a horse, but might have been the worst basketball player you ever saw? Like somehow you can shoot one-handed behind your head or whatever, and it goes in 75% of the time. But
don't ask
just
him to dribble.
A standing jump shot.
Never gonna
have a chance.
But we don't want to bury the lead either, which is the reason the Jazz are losing these games is to move exactly where they have moved. They are now, depending on how you want to look at it, they have a worse record than the New Orleans Pelicans. That was the ultimate goal. Find a way to get to 5th. If you could get to 4th grade, I don't think they're going to be able to get there. But the 5th worst record in the NBA means you have a 99.4% chance of holding on to your pick. Essentially guaranteed. Not guaranteed, but nearly guaranteed that you will get your draft pick this year, which was the goal. That's how the Jazz get to have their cake and eat it too. The cake being Jaren Jackson Jr. and the ability to eat it being another lottery pick.
I'm going to clip that for when they inevitably fall because of Adam
Get
Silver.
screwed.
Dropping 4 spots would be the ultimate insanity. And you know what? They would be fine. They would move on. It would not ruin the franchise.
Last year they got jumped by 4.
They got jumped by 4. They did. Now there's a 50% chance of that happening when you have the worst record.
Well,
there's a 0.06% chance of it happening.
I know at least one year the
0.6.
Pistons dropped to 5 and were leaped by 4.
Oh, 3 times in a row, the number 1 pick dropped to 5. 3 years in a row, including the Jazz.
What year was it where the Jazz did get? What was the Atlanta Hawks year where they got the first pick? They got
Jazz had the 8th worst record and fell to 10.
Yeah, it got let by 2 teams.
Yep, they did. So again, that's what this is about, though. The Jazz have the room now to be jumped by 2, 3 teams, and they'll be fine. As long as they don't get jumped by 4 teams, which again, a 0.6% chance of it happening, they will hold on to their pick. And I think that's what matters most. Would they love their 40% chance of moving up into the top 4? 100%. They would love to get up in the top 4 of this draft. They would kill to get in the top 3 of this draft. But I think they recognize as long as they are holding on to a, 8 or higher pick, they're probably getting another player in a similar ilk of Ace Bailey. I mean, that's the quality of this draft right now. So you add another guy who plays that way and is of that caliber, and you hope you can build around him.
Let's see. The Jazz are a game and a half in front of the Wiz. They are 3 games in front of the Nets, 3.5 in front of the Pacers, and 5 games in front of the Kings.
Yeah. What about the teams they are behind?
They are now essentially tied with the Pelicans, but they are 1 game back in the win column.
Which is what matters at
The
this point.
Pelicans have played more games. Let's see. If we're just talking about the win column.
Is it Dallas next?
Dallas is next. They're 3 games up on the Jazz. Then Memphis at 5 games up on the Jazz.
Which is crazy. I don't think the Jazz are going to get 5 more wins, to be honest with you. So the Memphis might already be out of the conversation. Dallas being at 3 more wins than the Jazz, they're sitting on 21, and the Jazz sitting at 18. Means as long as Dallas wins 2 or 3 more games the rest of the year, I don't think there's really a shot the Jazz are going to catch them, because I don't see the Jazz going 6-16 to close the season. I think you're looking at 4-18, along those lines.
Probably shouldn't have injured Zion Williamson.
He hurt his ankle. That was not great.
Although, what a detached player. I was actually looking forward to watching New Orleans play, and I'd say Zion just stood there for most of the 2 games in the minutes that he actually played.
Yep.
I was surprised about how disengaged
He did not look good.
that guy is.
But they did get Trey Murphy back yesterday in their 20-point loss to the Clippers, who did not play against the Jazz. So that's arguably their best player. So, again, I think the Jazz are going to do what they have to stay in this 5th spot and make sure they get their draft pick, in which case they will say mission accomplished.
They have 1 head-to-head with the Wizards left, right?
Yes, they do. So there's a chance, yes, the Wizards could pick
I don't
that
think
up
they
and
play Brooklyn
leap them. Maybe they have 2. They've only played the Wizards. They haven't played the Wizards yet
at
this
all.
year.
No, I don't think so.
So, yeah, there are 2 games, I believe, against the Wizards.
So there's that.
So you could potentially lose both of those and, yes, be leapt.
This Thursday, they will be in our nation's capital.
Uh-huh.
And then they host the Wiz
Very late
on
this season.
Wednesday, March 25th.
Yeah.
God, they play the Pelicans again.
Yes, they do.
On April 7th.
Yep. At New Orleans, because they just played back-to-back in Salt Lake.
At New Orleans. They have Memphis again, too.
Mm-hmm. So
terrific. Most of these teams they're playing are trying, though. At Sacramento on March 15th, they're not trying.
No, using the remaining strength of schedule, which you can find at tankathon.com. It just measures who you still have to play and their win percentage. The Jazz have the 10th most difficult schedule remaining in the NBA, which jumped significantly after playing New Orleans twice the last week. So, yeah, the Jazz's easiest games the rest of the way are Sacramento, Washington twice, New Orleans, and Memphis. And those are like the tanking teams. You get the Bucks in there who aren't really tanking. You've got 2 more against them, including one this week, and then you get 1 more against Portland. So otherwise, it's a more difficult stretch. You have to play Denver 3 times, including tonight.
Top 3 stories of the day, KSLSports.com. Coming up next, stay tuned. Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
It's time to break down the biggest stories of the day. This is the top 3 stories of the day on KSLSports.com. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. I forgot to explain to Christian bad medicine and Bon Jovi in general. Apologies, Christian, for not explaining that to you. In the break, Christian's first thing was like, what, Bon
What's
who?
Bon Jovi?
Bon what? Bad
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
I've never heard of any of this music.
Christian Bon Jovi is the owner of an indoor arena football team.
Was? Yeah.
Was.
Which one?
Philadelphia Soul?
Christian, the indoor football league was a
It was actually Arena Football
Arena
League,
football.
so get it right, AFL.
It doesn't matter. And they played on a really small field and really thin goalposts, and all of our friends that we know played in the league.
Well, some.
Yeah.
Gunther technically was in AF2
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's right. He was in the G League.
because Boise was.
Yeah.
Anyway, the Burn. I remember
Correct.
that. Yeah.
Boise Burn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, time for the top 3 stories of the day at
That's where Hans played too, right?
KSLSports.com. No, Hans played
He
for
was
the
a
Blaze,
Yeah,
and he played
which
for
was the AFL.
New Orleans before that. And by the way, to honestly talk about that era of AFL football, that was before it closed and then rebooted. Like that
Yes.
era of AFL was actually pretty good, and you could make a living, and they didn't exploit players like the future edition
Correct.
of the AFL did.
Correct.
Like
I
I don't
like-
know, you could talk to Hans about it, but I think I think he made a pretty good living playing AFL.
I like-
Maybe not the millions of the NFL, but you get my.
I like the league where they let fans vote on what the next play was going to be, and it just
Oh.
never got off the ground.
None of those.
Wonder
are
why.
The Stallions.
The Stallions tried. They had a game. They had a bunch of people.
The reason this is a random place to go, I guess, but the reason the AFL worked for as long as they did is they had a different business model. It was a different game. It was a different product. You were able to do it in different markets because you could play inside, and it made it. Yes, it was a gimmick, but like you can't copy a legit. The Stallions or whatever what's the one The Rock owns? They're trying to make another football league. Like carbon, people just don't have a stomach. You got to have a different product.
What if we did what they did, but we did it worse? Is never a really good way to sell anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. All right, time for the top 3 stories of the day at KSLSports.com. Brought to you by J. Brooks Jewelers. Cherish your love with J. Brooks Jewelers. Explore their expertly crafted engagement rings made from the finest materials. J. Brooks Jewelers. All right, Christian, where do you want to start today?
Number 1, BYU back-to-back losses. Basketball, by the way. They lost at West Virginia, now 500 in the Big 12.
Yeah, and they're not looking at a very good seed right now when it comes to the Big 12 conference tournament coming up here very soon. So this is a difficult fall. This is certainly the least ideal outcome for BYU at this stretch, outside of still having AJ DeBonsa and Rob Wright available to play.
This BYU team lacks heart, and it's the coach's job to figure out, how to get everybody playing hard and playing well. And you might have seen this clip circling on the Snap Talk, but I thought this was a terrible sign. West Virginia had the ball up 3 with 34 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
The only way to win that game is if you get a stop.
Get a stop, yeah.
You got to get a stop. Look at Rob Wright, and I don't mean to necessarily single him out as the entire problem because it's not. But this is the example that I'm using. Lets his guy go right by him, Ben.
Yep.
And now the guy missed a layup, but he had a layup. The
Yeah.
guy goes right by him, and he just basically stood there. Now, Rob is a fine athlete and a fine basketball player.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot tell me that he cannot provide a little more resistance than that.
In the biggest moments of the
In
games.
the biggest moment of the game, you've got to get a stop.
Yeah.
Anybody who's played bozo pickup basketball knows those possessions where it's like, all right, guys, we got to dig in.
Yeah. Yep.
If you're going to blow a hammy, it's going to be on this play. And he just let his guy go right by. I thought, God, that's a bad sign. It's a sign that your heart's not in it. And to broaden it out even more, this is going to be a problem with mercenary college sports, where there is some. What am I looking for here, Ben? Like, there is some fantasy to college sports. It's why there is some, why Rudy is such a successful film, right? There's I'm doing it for Notre Dame, or I'm doing it for BYU, or I'm doing it for University of Utah, and I've been here, and I'm a part of this organization, and I feel like I owe it to my fellow students or whatever. There's an element of that to college sports where you have to have some ulterior motive to do the hard things to compete at that level. And if you don't care, because you're not attached to it, or you don't think it's your future, or you're just here for the paycheck. And again, I don't know, Rob.
Sure.
I'm not trying to diagnose his situation by any means, but I would bet that it's a hard problem where it's like, man, you got to play with a little heart. You're down 3, 34 seconds. You got to dig in and get a defensive stop. And not just getting beat, but getting just blown by is wild. That tells me that your heart's not really in it.
They also kind of did the thing where, and Rob Wright had a good game.
And that's the slow starts, by the way, just to connect it. I mean, that's the slow starts. That's what we were talking about. Like all of a sudden they're down whatever,
They're down 14
and they
and a
have to
half.
storm back to win the game, and they end up winning. It's because,
They're also doing some sitting and watching AJ be the hero. And AJ DeBonsa is good enough to do it, but there is some sit back of like, go hit that step back three, AJ. It's like, and he did it. And this is why it was a 3-point game late, and he kept kind of pulling rabbits out of his hat, but you're just asking too much from him at that point. And then, it does get into the mercenary basketball of, well, we'll just watch the other guy do it, the guy who's paid to do it, and we'll expect him to do it. And there's very little teamwork. It's why the number I look at most closely for BYU is assists after every game. 10 assists. It's just like the ball is not moving at all. And when you have 10 assists and 12 turnovers, you're not going to win. It's that simple. So BYU is again, the talent is still there, certainly to win games and win games in the Big 12 tournament and even win games in the NCAA tournament. But it seems like every week when we check back in, we've lowered the bar of what a good first, a good showing is going to be. And it's like, are they going to get out of the first weekend of the NCAA tournament? I'm not confident they are now, where there was a point this season we thought, like, this is a legit Final Four team. I think it has a real argument to get there.
Well, are the stakes ever going to be high enough to get maximum effort? Does that bar exist?
We will probably, unfortunately, not know that until the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Is that bar even exist?
Yeah, it might not. Once you get to that point, you might not care because you may say,
we
well,
just make these assumptions because we're fans of the game and we die to be there. And so, of course, there's this fantasy in Ben's mind that if he were playing for BYU in the starting five, he would pour all 100% of his heart and soul out there for the love of the game.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm getting at. I don't think that exists for some players, and we're specifically talking about BYU, but I think it's probably
that's a college basketball
problem elsewhere.
Yeah.
Is if you're just there for the paycheck or whatever, who cares? And we say to the NCAA tournament, this is a big game, but they've got to stop the bleeding. Beating West Virginia on the road was a big game, and I'm not trying to overblow it because that's not my style. But like, at what point are you going to dig in for a defensive possession?
Nope, you're totally right. And that is the problem, and that is the issue with getting paid. And look, again, good for these kids for getting what they're worth, but it becomes really easy, I'm sure, at 19 years old to say, well, at least the paycheck's coming. Or the 21-year-old can feel that same way. And then when you lack continuity, and the player that I think was the continuity on that team was Richie Saunders, once that goes out the window, I think, probably the entire demeanor starts to collapse.
I do think there's something to the Bronco Mendenhall. If you're really in it for the money, don't come here. Now, maybe you say, Bronco, you're never going to get a good player again, which is, if he plies that blanketly is probably true. But his teams are going to play hard every time. And how many games are they going to win that they would not win because they're out there playing hard and have good habits and all that stuff that comes along with it?
But look, I mean, this is the big question about Darren Peterson right now at Kansas.
I totally agree.
So this is not a BYU problem.
No.
I don't want to make it sound like we're singling out the young players at BYU or the highest paid players at BYU. This is a college basketball problem.
Well, it was a BYU problem against West Virginia.
Absolutely, yeah.
100%.
It is plaguing them as well.
Yes, it is.
It's not just a BYU problem.
No, it's not just a BYU problem, but yes. And there's the whole, I don't like calling out college players, and honestly, I've never really had that much problem with it, but because they're adults and they're playing college sports. We can talk about them.
Yeah,
we don't have to beat around the bush. But even now, and especially when the problem is the money, Rob Wright's defense was a problem against West Virginia.
No question.
And that attitude will not win you big-time college basketball games. So when does the buy-in come?
Yep.
All right, what's next?
Number 2, the Jazz host the Nuggets tonight.
Speaking of a lack of defense, the Utah Jazz are...
No. Entertainment purposes only. Bet the over on Jokic. On all of it.
Like, if I had to say points, rebounds, assists combined, over under 50, I would take 50.
Well, how competitive are the Jazz? Because that will determine it. Because if he only plays 23 minutes.
Yeah, he may not have to. And he could still get a 30-point triple-double in 28 minutes against this Jazz team. Again, Kyle Filipowski is your starting center.
And
Flip is
not equipped to guard Jokic.
Extraordinarily ill-equipped to guard somebody who's that big and that strong. And Jokic, does not look like prime David Robinson. I get it. But he leans on you for 15 minutes a game and makes the right decision every single time he touches the ball. It's really taxing. And that's coming off of back-to-back games where Flip has had to guard players much bigger than him, whether that's Zion Williamson or DeAndre Jordan or whoever they're playing at center in New Orleans. So, we're starting to see Flip wear out. I think it was 2 of 10 in their last game or whatever. He just had a terrible shooting night against the Pelicans. He's clearly wearing down.
We talked about this with Nurk pre-Beak injury, that he's just a heavy player, and he's going to make an impact on the game because the other team has to prop him up for half the game. The same thing is 1,000% true about Nikola Jokic, who's not necessarily a special defender in the slightest, but he is giant and he is heavy, which provides a really difficult matchup for a string bean like Phil. In fact, he's really not looking. You ever have like a test or a skateboarding tournament match thing where you were over?
Can't go, Mom. I've got the skateboarding tournament match thing.
But you were really overmatched, and you knew you weren't prepared for the switch rail or something, but you just didn't look forward to it.
You knew all this lingo
all day.
Yeah, every time I stepped on the old skater board.
Right. The thing Avril Lavigne sung about.
You dreaded it. You think
no? Did you ever have that feeling though? Like I remember, playing All Stars or something.
Of course.
Like we played against Mueller Park. I don't know why I remember that so well because I was in like 6th grade. But it was 6th grade, and you looked across the field, and one of those guys was like shaving, and you're like, oh man, this is going to be a long day.
I don't belong here.
But Phil is feeling that way currently.
And Denver's been on a real down streak, so they will have to pick it up. So they're going to treat the Jazz as a get-right game, which the Jazz are probably fine being a get-right game for other teams. So this should be pretty lopsided. We'll see. I haven't seen an injury report yet come out for the Utah Jazz. I know they sent one out yesterday, and it looked like everybody was healthy.
Who's going to play for Denver? Because that's the weird part about the end of these seasons and when the tank is on, is the other good teams don't necessarily play all their players because they use it as a load management opportunity.
They've been without Aaron Gordon for a little while now. They're slowly getting healthier. I think Peyton Watson's also out, so they're missing 2 of their 5
But Jamal Murray's the
you need
the
Jamal
one that stands out.
And you need Jokic, and they'll have both of them.
All right.
At least it looked like it.
Next.
Number 3. The Utah Mammoth took a bad loss yesterday to a lowly Chicago Blackhawks team.
Yeah, really bad. They come out of the break and struggle against the Avalanche and looked rusty, and then bounced back and had a very good win against the Wild, and you thought, okay, they figured it out. And then one of their worst losses, maybe their worst loss of the season against Chicago at home in a weird early game. I get it, 2 p.m., but Chicago had played the night before.
That shouldn't matter.
Coming to Salt Lake City and stomp the Mammoth was not a good look.
I'm kind of joking about this, but kind of not. But this isn't basketball, Ben. I mean, they're going to show up and play.
Yeah.
These hockey players are tough. I do think back-to-backs seem to be a little less of a thing, though, in hockey.
Yeah, you only play 20 minutes.
Yeah, than they are in basketball. Inconsistency is this team's big problem. I mean, it's the issue. The teams like the Mammoth are frustrating to watch because you see the top end. It's kind of like the Darren Williams, Carlos Boozer era of Jazz basketball, where like you see them play well, you see Booze guard for once, and they're beating these great teams, and they go on the road to like Minnesota, who was particularly terrible at the time, and boot these games, and you're like, wow, how on earth did that happen? It's frustrating to watch with the Mammoth. See, the top end is just awesome, but to get drubbed at home by Chicago, 4-0, and you're trying to sharpen it up for the playoffs, that's crazy. So I don't know, Ben. Maybe it's a young team. Do you know hockey well enough to diagnose inconsistency? I don't think I do.
I do think that is part of it. I didn't think Vemelka was particularly good yesterday, but the defense also not giving him any chances. I mean, Sergachev has a chance to clear the puck right in front of the net and just kind of fumbles it around at his feet. And I don't think it was on Sergachev because the pass to him was not particularly good. But, they just sloppy issues, just kind of like a lack of attention to detail. And I do think that's probably a young team trying to figure out how to not coast based on what their last game was. And, that's how you get positive and negative momentum. And I thought they came out in this game coasting, expecting to be playing a bad team, and it bit them. So.
All right. Stay tuned. We'll have more Jake and Ben coming up next. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Whether it's the Jazz, Utes, Cougars, or Aggies, These guys have got you covered.
Time to eat, fellas.
You're locked on to Jake Scott and Ben Anderson
1, 2, 3, move it.
on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jacob Ben, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. We're teaming up with Beehive Meals, honoring people that impact youth sports in our communities. Nominate the youth sports volunteer you know for the Beehive Meals Hero of the Week at kslsports.com/contest, and listen every Thursday to JJ and Alex for the winner. It's the Beehive Meals Hero of the Week. Talk about Denver being in town, Ben. Where do you have the Nuggets on the contending scale? I guess, let me ask you this. Is it still Oklahoma City and everybody else, or has that changed?
It probably is still a little bit Oklahoma City and everybody else. Shea's been hurt for a little while, so I get that that's been an issue for them. But they also have a weird thing where they haven't been able to get everybody on the floor at the same time. And then, I don't know. I'm not trying to read too much into the Nuggets' struggles, especially since Jokic has been back. But he was out, and they played really well without him, and it kind of thought, oh, man, once they get him back, they're going to go on a tear. They've just been bad. Like, their last 10 games, I watched a bunch of them. I think they're, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They're 4-8 in their last 12. That's a really bad mark for a team this late in the season, especially when their star is back on the floor. And they've had some weird losses in there. And they've played a difficult stretch. They played Detroit. They played the Knicks. They played the Cavs. They played the Clippers and the Warriors and the Thunder. Like, Timberwolves last night. There's some good teams mixed in there, certainly, but it's who you got to be beating. I mean, that's when you got to step on the gas a little bit. So we'll see if they get Aaron Gordon and Peyton Watson healthy, and if so, it's the most talented roster I think they've had in the Jokic era. But I don't know. I'm not thrilled with the way they're playing.
Yeah, they're the same team though. They've always been.
They are,
and I do think that they are better by moving off of Michael Porter Jr. But was old Mike Malone the reason they were winning?
Probably doesn't hurt. And, you know, we talked about Michael Porter Jr. a lot. He did help with some things. He's huge. He's 6'10". I mean, he's very similar to Lauri Markkanen. He's a very similar player. He's a better rebounder. He's not as probably good a decision maker, but he's a great three-point shooter, and those guys can be effective in the right roles.
Yeah, I think he was
just overpaid. That's his problem. He's just overpaid on the team.
Yeah, and he was a flawed guy. He doesn't play any defense.
Right.
So I don't know. It would be like, I know what to expect from Denver, I guess is my point. I think I know how good Denver is just based on past performance. I want to know if Oklahoma City is more vulnerable than they were last year. Because let me put it this way. The Thunder team that won the title last year, I think, is actually better than the Denver team that won the title whatever year that was.
Okay. Yeah.
3 or 4 years ago. Like,
yeah.
if we're just evaluating in a vacuum, I think if Oklahoma City were in the league back then, I don't think that Denver wins the title.
I think that's totally fair. I will also add, though, that this Denver team is more talented than last year's Denver team. And last year's Denver team still pushed OKC to 7 games, and this is the good OKC team you're talking about.
Right.
So if Denver can flip the switch when they get to the playoffs and they're healthy, absolutely they can beat OKC, to make no mention of San Antonio, who actually does have the second best record in the West right now. And at their best is just a real nightmare, and for whatever reason is a real nightmare for the Thunder. They do not have any answer for Wemby's size, nor does anybody. And then the guards that San Antonio has makes life difficult for the depth of guards that OKC also has. So they aren't able to turn the ball over or force turnovers against the Spurs the way they are against some other teams.
Is there anybody else that we should be considering? I mean, I love Boston as a story, but I'm not putting them there. I'm not putting Detroit there either.
I would say probably Detroit, just based on the fact that they have a chance to get to the finals healthy, and everyone else is going to have to beat somebody else up along the way. And then they're really big. And Cade, we probably are underrating how good Cade is.
Yeah, but Detroit made a mistake not making a move for, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but more offense at the trade deadline.
Because Michael Porter Jr.
They have a tough time scoring. This is a basketball.
They can't shoot.
No.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to be a problem.
Agreed. San Antonio can't shoot either, and that really becomes an issue when you can't
right.
shoot in the playoffs. So, no, I would still probably go OKC 1, Denver 2. I'm probably still willing to say Detroit 3 over San Antonio.
But I'm saying I think it's a two-team discussion.
I think that's probably fair.
Man, the East is bad.
I do like that Detroit is just brutally physical. They just will beat you up, and they don't have any problem beating you up, and I like teams that beat you up.
I'm rooting for the Pistons.
Yeah.
I really am. Any team in the East, and I kind of like the Jaylen Brown Boston story, but any team in the East I would be quote-unquote rooting for, it's probably the Pistons, and I do like that too. I do the toughness, and I like teams to guard and all that. But at some point, you got to put the ball in the hoop in the playoffs. And when teams actually start playing defense or trying to play defense, the situation that already isn't great is only going to get worse.
Yeah, and they're already at a weird point where they're kind of struggling to figure out who they want to close games because they're debating, is it all shooting or is it all defense? And that can work game-to-game basis if you feel like you've got advantageous matchups, but it's also can be a sign that you don't know what your identity is, and that's a flaw. So Denver's good. I suspect Denver will get healthy. I hope we aren't talking about the hamstring injuries for Aaron Gordon for the rest of his career, though that's what it's been the last 2 years, it seems like. I hope he can get healthy and get to the playoffs because I would like to see a fun matchup with them and the Thunder.
Toby Harris gonna win you some series?
Probably not.
Yeah,
probably not quite ready. I mean, again, we were talking about should the Pistons trade for Lowry Markkanen, and it was like, well, man, they'd have to give up Asar Thompson. It's like, yeah, you gotta crack some eggs if you're gonna make an omelet. Like,
yeah,
is
I like Asar
Thompson gonna win you
Yeah.
the playoffs? Is he gonna be the difference between you making the finals or not making the finals, or winning a title? Maybe he has an Andre Iguodala like run in the postseason and locks up Shea for 7 games and it allows you to win a championship. I guess it's possible, but what's more likely, that or Lowry opens up the floor for everybody else because he's a great shooter? It's like we know that's what he does. So I think that's the difficult part.
Yeah, the NBA is interesting this year. I don't know. We'll see. The playoffs are always wild, and you make a terrific point about injuries because, man, it seems like that has plagued every playoff in like the last 15 years. Like some major person gets injured.
Like that?
Every year.
Yeah.
The only reason LeBron won in Cleveland is because Steph had a knee injury.
It's, the reason the Toronto Raptors have a championship is because KD and Clay got hurt.
Both.
Yeah.
That's rough.
Yeah, it's very brutal.
Maybe LeBron would have had another one in Miami had the clinic not gotten after Kevin Love.
Yeah. No, it's really tough.
So who knows? I mean, knock on wood, but any of these teams are a major injury away from being a non-factor.
I hope we don't see it.
Me too.
But we will.
All right. Stay tuned. We'll have more Jake and Ben. We'll continue to talk Jazz basketball coming up straight ahead, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.